There are so many sides to this. The biggest part is that nobody knows what the details are. Nobody knows what they're going to try to do. And if it's going to be administered by the federal government, you know it's going to be a disaster. The cost of just administering this kind of a program will outweigh anything that they can do on a positive side. And how many people, how do they know how many people have 2 or 3 houses? Maybe somebody bought a second home and they're going to, you know, renege on that particular mortgage and then wind up asking me and you and everybody else in the United States to pay for their second home.
Tracy,
I think it's outrageous also.
Tracy, the White House also wants to get in here by cutting mortgage rates as opposed to just an outright moratorium. Is that a better solution?
But again, that's not fair. I have a city mortgage. Maybe I should stop paying my bill and go into foreclosure and let them bail me out. You know what? Wayne's right. When the government gets involved, it's not working. Hope for Homeowners was a total flop. We have people who have had loan modifications who are back in foreclosure again. This is not working. We have to let this thing purge itself. Let them fail. Let the houses come to market.
Are you willing to see the houses on your block, including your own, go down another 30%?
Let them go.
That might happen.
Let them go. Let the investors come in. Let first-time buyers come in. It'll start over and it'll work through itself.
John?
First of all, there's a supply and demand issue here that we have to look at from a macro standpoint. We do not need any more houses on the market, so
we don't.
We have to do something. But I will tell you, my brother's 30 years old. He's had a mortgage for 4 years. His credit wasn't as good when he got it as it is now. He called his mortgage company and asked him if they would rework his mortgage rather than refinance and get a new one, and they told him exactly what we're talking about. No. You've been paying on time for the last 4 years. You're not eligible for a rework. So even a guy who's making the right amount of money and has good credit is thinking, well, maybe I should not pay my mortgage for a couple of months, and then I can bring my rate down.
The key is he still has good credit, which is, look, this is the closest thing the government's done in trillions of spending that addresses the core problem, which has started years ago, which is the home prices collapsing. And I know it's not fair. I'd love to see some of these flippers in Miami on the street or in jail, but the bottom line is we have to stop a cascade of foreclosures driving everybody's home down. Now, the way to make this fair, to get to the original question, is there needs to be penalties to get in on this program, so somebody like Tracy, who is making her payments and doesn't need to get on this, it's like you can't be sucking you in like welfare. There has to be penalties. For example,
Jonas, let me ask you. Jonas, you think we should do something about cascading home values? How many people's mortgages are you picking up right now? What have you done?
Well, through my tax payments, of plenty, but
for your tax dollars.
Look, I've got a home that I don't want to fall 50% because everybody else's home is in foreclosure. So, again, the penalty should be something like your credit gets ruined. You owe a higher tax rate when you sell later. Something that somebody who's good doesn't want to enter the system. It has to be just to keep the deadbeats in their homes off the market for a few years.
What would be wrong with the White House, instead of lowering payments on people who aren't making their payments, just lower the mortgage rate overall to 4.5%?
Well, that's happening anyway. You can go out in the commercial market today, and if you've got value in your home, you can get a mortgage around 4.75. That was what in fact, I just went and see because I was thinking of refinancing, and that's what they quoted me. And to Tracy's point, which I think is a good one, we're not talking here necessarily, except I'm going to try to get rid of the moral thing and think about the practical thing. You got to realize this is a factual thing.
No difference.
In Florida, well, let me finish. In Florida, last month, home prices, sales were up 13%. So this is going to work itself out. This is going to happen. There are people out there bidding on this kind of thing. It's going on all the time. That is correct. It's up 13%. That's home sales in Florida, which is a disaster.
Of foreclosed homes.
Mostly foreclosures are making the number up. And, you know, the flip side of this is
That's
we run the risk of class warfare because I'm sitting there, I'm in my house, I'm paying my mortgage, and I feel like I'm getting taxed by my next-door neighbor who didn't deserve to be in his house in the first place, and now my tax money is going to bail him out further. So
Right, but
it's going to lead to other...